Woo! You guys are in for a fantastic episode today. I have Matthew and Terry on from Mid South Homebuyers. And man, if you're looking for a reliable turnkey real estate investment that's completely hands off, I'm not talking about active income, I'm talking about legitimate passive income, then this is going to be a great episode for you. These guys are some of the best in the business at what they do. Terry has been doing this for over 20 years, and they're just running a fantastic operation out of Memphis, Tennessee. So be sure to pay very close attention because I'm telling you, this might be exactly what you're looking for if you're looking to create some more consistent cash flow. All right, let's get into the episode. All right, Matthew, Terry, I'm extremely excited to have you guys on today and to learn more about Mid South. I've heard great things from my investor circles about what you guys are doing, who you are, and what you've established out there in Memphis. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation today. But let's jump right into it. Terry, obviously this question is directed towards you because you're the one that built this thing from the ground up. So I want you to take me back to the beginning. How did you get into this space? What exactly is the service that you guys offer to investors now? And what problem were you trying to solve for those investors when Mid-South Home Buyers became this vision in your mind?
Sure. So I got into the business in 2001. My wife and I had a newborn, and we wanted to keep our personal overhead low. Best way for us to do that, we figured, is to find an ugly house and buy it cheap and fix it up. And so we did. Spent 7 months working nights and weekends fixing up our first house. And a couple of months in, I just really fell in love with the transformational process of the property and told my wife, man, this is what I want to do. She was super supportive. So quit the best job of my life, took a 50% pay cut for a different gig that allowed more flexibility and made a run at the real estate business. And, fortunately it worked. And, we work hard around here, but there's always luck along the way. Anybody you meet who's got something that's doing well, they'll all tell you that there's an element of luck. And part of our luck is I was born in a cash flowing city, so Memphis is the perfect place for what we do. And then also I lucked into because when I started, I thought I was just going to flip a couple of houses a year retail and then build up my rental portfolio. But I bumped into a friend of mine that I hadn't seen in years who had a lot more experience than I did. And he wanted to buy a couple of rental houses from me. And I asked him why. And he said, well, I've got 10, but I fixed them all up myself and it's taken up too much time. And I want to grow my rental portfolio, but I don't have enough time to do it. And so I sold this guy a couple of houses, and the business of passing bargains on to bargain hunters was born. And so what I was trying to solve for investors is providing them an investment opportunity through real estate, which did not take up any of their time. Hence the turnkey model.
There you go. Awesome, man. I absolutely love that. And so Matthew, I guess you can go ahead and answer this one. Terry, you mentioned that Memphis is where this thing was built, but I know that you guys specifically focus on turnkeys in Memphis, and you've expanded now to Little Rock as kind of your two core markets. What makes those markets so attractive for long-term buy and hold investors, and what do most people, I guess, misunderstand about them when they're just kind of looking at let's call it the headline stats?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have about 4,800 homes in Memphis that we manage, about a little over 1,000 actually in Little Rock. I say Little Rock, it's really the greater central Arkansas area that we manage. And we love these because these are cash flow capitals. And just like in any city, you have some places where you can go too low into the affordability sector there, where it's not safe. It's affordable, but it's not safe. And in any city, you can go to an area where, and we have it in Memphis too, where it's nice to live in, but the numbers don't work.
Yep.
And even when it comes to rentals, you can go into a higher end where you actually experience higher turnover, believe it or not, because you can get into an area where folks, are going to rent for 1 year, and then they're going to hop into home ownership, or they're going to rent for 1 year and they're going to move to a different city. So that's really not the best place to be cash flow wise. You really want to be in the sweet spot where you're going to have renters who can afford the property well and can afford the property for the long term. So when you have 4-year renters, 5-year renters, 10-year renters, that's really where you're going to have great returns as an investor. Here at Mid-South, we have over 1,000 residents who've been with us for more than 5 years, which about 5 years ago, we only had about 2,200 properties. So that's almost 50%, or I don't know, I can't do that math on the fly, 45% maybe, that are staying 5 years or longer. And we have several who have been with us more than 10 years now. And so it only takes one 10-year renter to turbocharge the returns for your portfolio. A lot of new investors are really excited about driving rent increases and pushing the rents. And I've noticed that a lot of our most experienced investors, they really care about rent renewals, and seeing that the resident stays, and so that they minimize turnover and maximize their returns over the long haul. So some other things about Memphis and Little Rock, these are markets that are 10 to 15% below the national average when it comes to, they are 10 to 15% more affordable, I should say, than the national average. So the people who live here are able to enjoy greater affordability than other parts of the country, which is a nice thing. And we have access to tons of jobs here, both in Memphis and Little Rock. We talk about the 4 R's a lot when it's a distribution hub, because you've got the runways, so the airports, you've got the river, you've got the rails, and you've got the roads. So all these converge here. You've got the Mississippi River running through here. It's the 6th largest inland port. We have the largest cargo airport. Of course, that's due to FedEx having their world headquarters here in Memphis. And so the planes are flying in and out of here all day long and all night long. And then, of course, we've got I-40 that just runs through the heart of the country here. And so you'll see semis rolling through here day and night as well. And it's just, and we've got the railroads as well, is a major hub as well. So many residents have access to great paying jobs. Even if only a high school education, they can still have a great job that affords them a great rental property with us here. And so, we like to be right in that sweet spot. We like to appeal to, we like to build houses that are affordable to the average renter. Because what does average mean? Average means the most,
Yeah, exactly.
And so when you have the most opportunity, you can rent your properties faster, and you can create returns that are sustainable for the long haul. So that's just a few things that we think about when thinking about Little Rock and Memphis as far as cash flow capitals here.
That sounds very well thought out. Again, the idea is always expansion. You would imagine, hey, at some point in time, we might need to go outside of Memphis. And how recently did you guys add Little Rock to the list of potential investment places that you were looking to either do some new builds in or take over old properties?
Yeah, we added Little Rock about 7 years ago, and the reason we added Little Rock is because it had the same demographics and feel as Memphis, and then also it was close enough to where we could relocate about 20 families. So we didn't just kind of start from scratch. We we were fortunate to be able to move 20 families from our Memphis outfit over there. And then also my cousin is our acquisitions manager there, because you got to have somebody that you trust with boots on the ground, because as Matthew mentioned, you can go too low, you can go too high. And in Memphis and in Little Rock as well, it's street by street, and sometimes it's even block by block, right? Especially in the older historic parts of town, you can have $1 million homes, and then a block over, you don't want to buy there, right? And so we would not have gone to Little Rock had it not been for my having family there, and Thomas is also in the real estate business. So the combination of the close proximity, because we ran over there every single week and stayed for a day or two for a long time. And so yeah, Little Rock has worked out really well. And then we started doing new builds over there. Goodness, I guess about 2.5, 3 years ago, we're working on our third subdivision, like putting in roads, infrastructure, all that over there, as well as doing scattered lot. So, buy some lots inside existing neighborhoods. So also doing new construction here in Memphis as well. So, and just real quick, I'll let you know that I guess probably about 25, maybe it's 30% now of what's rolling off our assembly line is new construction versus our gut rehabs, which is our bread and butter. And that's what brought us to the dance. We love it, and we're keeping that as well. But we added the new construction because the demand for our product has been a lot higher than what we could serve up to our investors. And so you can't make a rehab that will fit the business model just appear out of nowhere. You can only get what you can get. And so we started new construction to combat that, because we had investors that were wanting new construction, renters that love the new construction as well. And so we're supplementing with new construction in both markets.
That definitely makes sense. I know you guys are very strict on what comes to the table and what passes as something that you might be looking to reno and get back on the market. So that definitely makes sense that at some point in time, hey, we have to expand into this different offering that we have. So I know the markets between Memphis and Little Rock are very similar, but one thing when I was listening to some of your guys' previous information, podcasts and stuff like that, talk to me a little bit about how unique the Memphis market is in regards to renters supplying their own appliances. Like when I heard that, when I first listened to you guys, I never heard of that before. I was like, you're telling me they bring their own refrigerator and stuff? Like that seems super awkward. And me as a person having rentals, this year alone, we've paid out some dollars fixing refrigerators, washer and dryers, those type of things that obviously end up eating into your return. So how is Memphis so unique to where these people are, I can just see somebody like, I'm just bringing my refrigerator with me.
Oh yeah, it's crazy. So like when I first started, like that's all I knew. I didn't even know that Memphis was an anomaly for just years and years. And so yeah, that's just the market. Now, when you get up, into kind of like the middle tier, some folks will start expecting appliances, and so like as a for instance, in our new construction, we supply appliances because that's what the market expects in new construction, right? But plenty of times we'll have a resident be like, oh, I love your new construction house. And they'll move in and they're like, can you get your refrigerator out of my way? Because I've got my own refrigerator. So it still happens. And of course, that's nice for the investor, because then they're not fixing appliances like you're talking about. But the Memphis market it's just that way. Little Rock, not as much so. But yeah, it's really interesting. Why that's the case, couldn't tell you, but it is.
Yeah, that's so, I don't know, so unique. Again, it's great for the person that's in on the investment and owns the home. It's just one less expense that you have to worry about. So talk to me about the website for a moment, because I was just talking to you guys about this before we got on air. There is a ton of great information that you guys offer on the website, and I'm going to want to dive into multiple of these things. But talk to me about like what makes Mid-South different from some of these other companies across the country that are offering similar services. Because like I was talking to you guys about, I have some people in my circle, in my investment circle, that have done business outside of Mid South and have done business with Mid South, and say it's a night and day difference that you guys are head and shoulders above a lot of the competition out there. So, what is it that you guys are doing that's making you so popular?
Man, there is no one major thing. It's a bunch of little things.
That's good.
Um,
Little things add up to big
but
things, man.
They do. And one thing I want to mention is that our website is designed to teach folks how to shop for a turnkey seller. We want to work with everybody, of course, but like I said, we have had a lot of our investors get ripped off. And our website is completely designed to show folks where the bodies are buried, how to ask the hard questions of turnkey sellers or property management companies, and just to know how to do their due diligence to make decisions for themselves. Because we sell houses to folks, and then they'll get back in line to buy another house, but maybe they want to accelerate their portfolio and they can't wait, and so they'll go to other markets and not have as good of an experience. And so I just encourage folks to check out the website and learn how to kick the tires. But back to your question, and I'll try not to hog the microphone because there are so many little things, but the main thing is, like, the big picture is the property management is way more important than the house. Okay. And so, yeah, make sure you get a good house and make sure you get a good deal on the house. And there's some trick tips to doing that, and we can talk about that. But the main thing is the property management. And so, um, yeah, Matthew's our property manager. He's the director of property management and our sales department. So I'll let Matthew talk a little bit about the property management, but it truly is where the rubber meets the road, and there are a lot of things.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's so true that the operator that you get in place who's actually going to operate the management of your investment, because it's one thing to buy a good deal, but with real estate, it's how is it going to perform over the long haul? And that's going to matter on who's involved with it in the day to day. And the beautiful thing about Turnkey as an investor is that you're able to win your time back and put us to work. But you better hope that you have the right person, the right team, I should say, working for you in your best interest. And so one way that I think a lot of maybe inexperienced investors get tripped up is that they view the residents as adversaries rather than treating them like gold, rather than treating them like they deserve, really, and rather than seeing that, hey, we're on the same team here. Renters drive your returns as property owners. And so when you set your residents up to win, when you set your residents up where they are feeling like they are receiving abundant value from you as a business, that's going to come back to you as an investor, because it goes back to what I was mentioning about long-term stays are really what drives your returns. The thing that will eat up is constant turnover, constant repair requests. Can eat up your returns over the long haul. And so you want to deliver value to your residents at every turn. And so we try to do that in many ways. And it's like Terry said, it's a lot of little things. The biggest thing that's a little thing is we just answer the dang phone. When the phone rings, we answer it.
That's so underappreciated, I think, is like, man, communication is so key with people. That I have investments personally that have great communication on both sides, me to them, them to me, and I have ones that aren't. And those ones that aren't tend to be the ones that have some problems sometimes. And when you get that lack of communication, you're like, "Okay, can you talk to me? Why haven't I heard from you?" Just little things like that. So I couldn't agree with you more there.
Yeah, it's sexy to talk about AI and talk about technology, which we do leverage, but it really comes to the simple things. Where is the actual human connection there? Are you actually delivering service? Because it's all about connection-driven service that we're delivering to our residents and likewise to our investors. That's where the rubber meets the road. And so service is satisfaction. Satisfaction is a longer stay. Longer stay is a return for you as an investor. I don't know. I could go on and on as well, and I could hog the
I
mic
think
just
this
as well on
next
this, Terry.
question will really lead into it, into a bit more detail. So on your guys' site, you talk about being vertically integrated. So owning the renovation crews, property management, roofing, HVAC companies. For an investor who's maybe new to Turnkey, what practical advantages does that give them versus a company like maybe some competitors out there that outsource basically everything they do?
Sure. So it starts with the property. We're able to put more into the property because we're able to buy the materials cheaper, right? So we can buy the same quality of materials, but we don't have to spend as much, which allows us to put more into the property. I mentioned earlier that you can't make a home appear that fits the model. Where our model is a gut rehab model. We're not out looking for the carpet and paint jobs, right? We're looking for stuff where you walk in the house and you can see the dirt and you can see the sky. Like that's what we like, because when you're done with a gut rehab, the house is brand new. And when the house is brand new, it's not going to need capital expenditures for a long time. And the investor is going to be able to finance, all those capital expenditures out for a long time, right? And but yeah, the vertical integration is it just makes us more efficient. From a the way our warehouse, Mid-South Hardware, started was because my then property manager and rehab supervisor were married, and they went on a 2-week vacation, and I had to manage the technicians that were driving around to fix all the rental properties. This is in 2012, and I found that they were spending so much drive time looking for the right thermocoupler, the right, this or that, and when my managers came back in town, I had already secured a lease on the building that we're in right now, specifically so we could start warehousing materials, so our investors would not have to be paying technicians to drive around, because that's on the investor's dime, right? And so that's one piece of vertical integration that saves time. And then, of course, property management companies have to make money. And so they're typically charging 20% above market for a 2x4. And I get it, they've got to do it. But we're fortunate that we don't have to charge above market. We can charge market rates for our materials because we're buying them at a deep discount. Now, granted, we've got 15 employees in Mid-South Hardware, so there's overhead there. But the business model works to where we can make a couple of bucks on materials, but still sell them at shelf prices. So you take that, and then you take the fact that we own our own mechanical, electrical, and plumbing company, so we're not having to hire outside vendors. The vendors that are working on our investors' houses to keep them up are the same folks that did the rehab. So they know the houses intimately. The materials are all in-house. And so I like to say that we buy an ugly, junky house and we put it on an assembly line. And then our labor folks who have worked with us for so long, we're very fortunate that we don't have a turnover issue with labor. They take all the same materials in the warehouse and put them on every single house. And what Matthew's fond of saying is it doesn't matter whether it's a $100,000 rental that is renting for $875, or it is a more upper end rental that maybe rents for $1,500 and is selling for $180,000. We do the exact same renovation to every single house, the same quality, the same materials, the same labor, and so. Yeah, we're just fortunate that we're able to have that vertical integration, because it makes it to where we don't have to make as much money per property as a property management company, and we don't have to make as much money per property selling houses, but we're able to do volume. We didn't set out for the business model to exactly be like this, but it's like every day you wake up and you do the best that you can do, right? And then you also have luck, right? And then you hire the right people, right? We've got over 110 W-2 employees, over a dozen managers, and we've just got the right people in the right seats on the bus that are all working in the same direction, and they understand that their job is to serve each other as team members as much as it is to serve our investors and our residents. And so, like I said, you just try to do a little bit better every day, and then keep your fingers crossed. And so, cheers, it's working.
Yeah, it sounds like you guys got a really well-oiled machine there, and it really sounds like you guys focus heavily on, making this a really good deal for not only the investor but the resident too. Like you were mentioning, there could be a lot of other things that you are doing that are keeping cost a bit higher, and that, coming out of you, the investor's pocket, or potentially it may show up in rent as well. But it sounds like, again, you guys are really investor and renter first focus, which is awesome. And I imagine why you've had so much success. So,
Well, we got to be renter focused first for it to work for the investor.
yeah,
And so that's when we started the management company. We made sure to keep everything exactly the same as it was when we were only managing my personal houses, which is not normal, but it's the best way to drive the best return for the investor.
that makes sense. So, one of the things that really stood out to me is your guys' philosophy, and we kind of already touched on this, but the philosophy of slightly below market rents to attract these long-term residents. Again, you don't often find people that are renting for 5 to 10 years that are staying in the same spot. Can you kind of walk me through the math and the mindset on that? Like, how does charging that slightly less amount actually produce better returns over time? And Matthew, I know you were kind of touching on this before.
Yeah, so I'll say a little more because that's one of the biggest things that I see newer investors underestimate is the cost of vacancy.
Mm,
And so I get investors sometimes who really want to push rents higher than what I see the market as being. It's like they're looking for maybe $50 above what the market rate would be. And so the math on that, let's say they're successful. So you're talking about $600 a year that they may be able to capture. However, I know that $50 in rent, it's going to take me maybe 2 months longer, maybe 3 months longer to achieve that extra $50. And so if you've got, a renter or a rental that's, let's say it's $1,000 a month, you spend 2 months to get that extra $50. Well, congratulations, you spent $2,000. And that's oversimplistic, right? Because it's not just rent that you lost. You had to pay utilities during the meantime. You had to pay landscaping during the meantime. There's all kinds of things that can happen in the meantime, whereas you could have just made the rent rate correct, maybe even slightly below market rate. And we don't go crazy, we don't leave just tons of money on the table, but
mm,
we do want it to be something that is valuable and attractive to renters to minimize that vacancy time. Because once again, it's yes, we're doing it to work out for the renter, and it also benefits you as the investor because those vacancy costs can crush you if you're not careful. So yeah, we do that. Another thing we do that's another little thing that's a big thing is we don't charge application fees
mm,
to our residents who are looking to apply. I think most places it's 30 to $60, and it's a
yeah,
huge potential income stream for property management companies. And most property management companies, the way they're set up, they can't wait for a property to turn over. They wouldn't say it that way, but they make all of their money at turnover time because they're going to
mhm,
make those big fees. They're going to mark up the cost of repairs when the property turns over, and there's just the way their fees are set up. It would seem like they're kind of feeding from the opposite side of the trough from the investor, and so that's why we eat the cost of the credit checks for the new residents, the background checks, the employment verification. We don't skimp on doing that. We do all of the due diligence, but we eat the cost of that because Terry found when he was, renting his own houses, like he didn't care about making, $35 or $50 on an application. He just wanted to rent the house,
mhm,
quickly and get it cash flowing again.
yeah.
And so if it worked for him, the best way, then the thought process is that's how it should work for our investors that we serve as well.
Man, that makes a lot of sense. And again, I don't know if I've come across anybody else that waives the application fee for everybody. That's super unique. Um, so you guys, I think, have both emphasized, quality renovations and essentially what you call this sweet spot in these neighborhoods. Can you talk to me a little bit more about what that sweet spot looks like in real life? So we're talking price point, resident profile, school districts, and how exactly do you decide which of these houses make the cut? Because I know that you pass on a ton of properties.
Sure. So I'll talk a little bit about the properties themselves, Matthew, if you want to chat about the residents. So, yeah, so the properties that we're looking for, we want the gut jobs. There's so much competition for just houses that need a little bit of paint
Mm,
and carpet, and so we get priced out of that stuff. So we're looking for the full blown gut jobs as far as the houses go. And we look at a lot of houses. We measure what we call our batting average, right? So it's just like how many houses do we have to look at? And a lot of houses we just won't even take a swing at because they'll be ready for the bulldozer, and so we're like, well, one of these days we'll try to buy the lot and build new construction on it, right?
hmm
But yeah, so I mean, we're probably looking at 10 houses for every house that we're able to purchase, and so the pickings are just slim. If we wanted to cut corners, we could double that, right? But we just want to serve up a product that is going to last a long time. So we're real picky there. But as far as the residents go, Matthew.
Yeah, and I'll underscore what Terry said also in terms of the pickiness. Not even just everything where the numbers, quote unquote, make sense will we buy it. If a home is too large, even, we're not going to purchase it because we know the long-term maintenance cost of that for our investors. Where, yeah, maybe we could sell it and maybe it would even look attractive on the front end, but we know that the long-term performance is not going to be there. So there are certain things that we're looking at as well where it's like, no dice on that. But yeah, as far as resident profile, thinking about, I kind of alluded to how you want to be at the average affordability. So
hmm
I like that we have houses that are attractive to healthcare workers, are attractive to school teachers. Matter of fact, in Memphis, the number one employer, as far as our residents go, is actually Shelby County school system.
Oh, wow.
And so I think that's a great place to be just in general. If there's someone that I'm talking to out there who's maybe doing their own rehab, doing their own flip business, if you can create a product that is affordable for school teachers, I think
Mhm.
you're in a sweet spot there.
Yep.
If it's affordable for nurses, you're in a sweet spot there. You will always have demand for your properties if you're operating in that regard. Over in Arkansas, it's Little Rock is the state capital. It's the largest city in Arkansas as well. So we've got a lot of great government jobs there, state government jobs that are steady. They're going to be there for as long as Arkansas is a state,
Mhm.
So, and over there, our number one employer is Baptist Health Medical Center. So once again, healthcare workers are a stable renter base for sure, and so providing a product that is affordable for folks, and of course we serve all kinds of folks. I'm just kind of outlining the number one employers out there. I mean, we do so much distribution. As I mentioned, Nike has their largest distribution center in the world, is actually here in Memphis, in North Memphis, where we have thousands of rentals. Amazon has a huge presence in both Little Rock and here in Memphis. XAI has recently come to Memphis and built the world's largest supercomputer here.
Oh, wow.
And Elon's actually working on another one here in Memphis that's supposedly supposed to be bigger than the first one.
Of course. You
And
go smaller, you go bigger.
exactly. And so XAI has become the number two taxpayer here in Shelby County. And the beautiful thing is that 25% of those tax dollars earned from that new enterprise go right back into that local community there, which is a great service to our residents and a great service to our investors who are investing there. And yeah.
That's
So
awesome.
there.
That's awesome. So speaking of investments, and again, I teach people the infinite banking concept and how to leverage their policies for multiple things, but to become their own system. But we know that basically every investment out there, policies on investments, but people get into investments, has risk. So when you guys think worst case scenarios, like we talked about vacancies, maybe economic downturns, resident issues in general, what are the biggest risks in your guys' model, and how are you proactively managing or, at least mitigating those for investors?
The main thing that we're doing to mitigate that is for investors is making sure that we provide the best value for the resident, because we want to make sure if there's a contraction, let's say, and maybe families have to double up, right? We
Mm-hmm.
want to have the house where families are going to double up, right? We want to be able to make sure that we're providing the best value out there. When Matthew talks about, our average 4-year resident stay, which is more than double the industry average here in Memphis and Little Rock, the reason is because they can't find a better house for less money,
Yeah.
right? And so that's the main thing that we're doing, and it's not just the rent to value ratio. It's the fact that when something breaks, we're out there lickety split, and we communicate well. So that's the main thing that we're doing to mitigate the risk. And then another thing that we're doing is we are staffed up with human beings. You heard me mention that we've got over 110 W-2 employees. We don't call it collections; we call it resident retention. And the reality is we spend a lot of time working with folks who fall on hard times, right? Working out a payment plan, looking for maybe helping them look for a job, or if there are nonprofits that might be able to help them to shore up, because death happens, disability happens, divorce happens. And so when folks know that you really care and there's a sympathetic ear on the other side, they're not going to stick their head in the sand.
Yeah.
And so, again, there's no one crazy major thing, but at the heart of it is taking care of the resident and making sure that they feel like they're number one. We can't prevent life from happening, but we can kind of control what we can control, and those are the two big things.
Yeah. That spot on. That makes perfect sense. Again, we fall back on that communication, and you letting me know what's happening, I'm letting you know what's happening, and we can tend to work something out. So before we started recording, I was talking to you guys about, my wife, my son, and I, we really enjoy traveling. We go outside the country all the time, and the plan is to move outside the country here in the next 18 to 24 months. So this next question may not be of much interest to people that live in this country, but for people that listen to this podcast outside of the country, you guys work with investors from all over the country and all over the world. So what do you wish that every either out of state or out of country investor understood before they bought their first property with you guys? And then on the flip side, what are maybe some of the red flags or let's call them bad expectations that you try and uh, discuss early on?
Sure. The first thing that I would say is that 95% of the folks that buy houses from us, they don't ever come to Memphis or Little Rock. We don't ever get to see them. We want to see them. We'd love to see them. And we do an investor tour every month for anybody who wants to come and visit. They can hop on the website, check out when the dates are, and come visit us. But yeah, the main thing is that buying sight unseen is by far the norm. But you got to know how to kick the tires, and our website teaches folks how to kick the tires. As far as how to set expectations, with Mid South, we send a email out that is a report of their portfolio every single month. If there are repairs or vacancies, we're proactive in communication, and we're pros in the market. So you don't have to worry about going, oh well, hey, I think the house should rent for this much, right?
Mhm.
That's what we're here for. And so investors that sign up with us and most turnkey outfits, they're not looking to be involved in the day-to-day. They're looking for a passive investment. And so I would just want folks to know that this truly is a passive investment. You do not need to be involved, but we're here for any and every question you have.
Yeah, I think with real estate, a lot of times they would consider it an active investment, and it's like I got to do all these different things. So you're saying with you guys, it can be 100% passive.
Absolutely. Something happens crazy, tree falls on a house and whacks it. We fix it up. The insurance company writes a check. We fix the house up, lickety split. Yeah, it truly is a passive investment.
Yeah, and the other thing I would piggyback on that is, there are houses here that Terry owns. There are houses here managed that I own, and it's never like in the management company, it's never like, oh, this is one of Terry's houses, so we're going to treat it extra special. Like we're going to do the right thing on these houses. Like our employees actually don't even recognize which houses I own or which houses Terry owns, because we genuinely treat every property as though we would treat our own, as though we would treat our mama's house. Sometimes it is our mama's house, and so I guess it's going to come off a little rah-rah, but I wish they could know how much the people really care here, like really, actually, truly care about taking care of folks here. And on the other side, you talked about bad expectations, or I don't know how you worded that exactly, but I'll go back to the due diligence side. If you're looking at other outfits, so as far as I know, Terry really pioneered the turnkey single family investment space. And a lot of people love the word turnkey. And so I'd say that's a thing to be careful of, is there are a lot of outfits that call themselves turnkey providers, but you need to ask, do you own the renovation company? Do you own the management company? And what you need to look out for are words like affiliates, words like partners. Yeah, we have an affiliate, property management company. We have partners, on the contractor side. And so what happens there, and that's where we've seen, some investors be taken advantage of by other providers. It really comes from the person doing the sales has absolutely no control over either side, over the contractor side, over the property management side. And then when a dispute comes up, everyone points the finger at one another, because they're not integrated at all. They're not actually turnkey. And so that's what I would look out for from a due diligence standpoint.
That makes sense. Again, keeping everything all under one roof makes that communication that much easier and these problems that much faster to be solved. So I want to go back to the website here. I was looking at it before I hopped on with you guys. And again, I've complimented you on it multiple times, but it looks like anybody can just kind of come on and start taking a look at the properties and play around with the cash flow calculator. I think it's really cool that you guys offer this 15-year pro forma on there as well. Can you kind of talk to me just a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's designed, the website through and through is designed to be educational, so whether you buy from us or you buy someone else, we hope that we're delivering value to you that you can use either by purchasing from us or by purchasing elsewhere. And so, yeah, the calculators I think are fun to play with, because different investors have different goals, and so when you're investing, the thing that matters more than anything else is you. You're the CEO of your real estate business here if you're investing, and so what's most important to you? Is it cash on cash return? Are you looking to hold literally? We have several investors who are like, I'm literally never selling. And so they look at their investment a certain way, maybe different from folks who are saying, I'm looking to buy and I'm looking to exit in 5 years, and so you can kind of look at those different scenarios. In general, by the way, I would say that we really encourage our investors to, if you're going to buy from us, and I really think if you're going to buy real estate in general, you should be in a position where you can hold 5 years or longer, because the market does what the market does, and we cannot control what the market does. So having an exit strategy that's compatible with a long-term horizon really sets you up for success, I should say, and so you can kind of play with the different scenarios. For instance, we have some special. So if you're a finance buyer, there's a 10% management fee. If you're paying cash, there is an 8% management fee. And so you can kind of play with those different inputs. You can play with the interest rate inputs as well, which is going to make a big difference. We're seeing a lot of great opportunities with our new construction homes presently, where investors can buy their rate down to as low as 5.25%. And so we have had a lot of investors taking advantage of that recently. And so, yeah, just try to give people all of the information that they could possibly need to make an informed decision, to feel good about what they're investing in. Now, I do feel like everything that we provide, we have de-risked the deal to a large degree for you, because we're not projecting what this house may rent for, or this house may sell for. We're only selling homes that have a resident already in the property, so the rent is real. The property is truly cash flowing right now today. It's cash flowing for us, and we're just passing that opportunity on to you guys.
Like you said, turnkey. I think one of the biggest missing portions of that might be, well, now I have to get somebody in here. It's not, it may be ready, but now I got to rent it out.
Yes.
So I see that you guys offer both conventional, which I'm sure everybody knows, and financing and alternative financing. Can you walk us through a little bit of just the alternative financing side of that?
Sure. So I guess it was probably maybe 10 years ago, we had some of our buyers that were borrowing money from private lenders, and they'd put 50% down, pay 12%, and finance them for 5 years. And I wanted to beat that. And the reason that some of our buyers were doing that is because they were tapped out of the Fannie and Freddie market. So, maybe they back then it was 10 houses, they owned 10 houses. They didn't want to pay all cash. So they would just, put 50% down and pay high interest, right? And so we ended up coming up with a deal that was just a little more favorable. So in conjunction with one of our banks, because we don't have the cash to float that, struck a deal with one of our banks to where we created our own financing product to where our buyers could put down 40%, not 50%. The interest rate is 9.9 instead of 12, and it is a 12-year fixed AM instead of 5 years, and instead of 4 points up front, it's just a $1,200 loan origination fee. So we wanted to beat the private lending market at every turn, at every point of the deal. And then, of course, we take the paper to one of our local banks, and they give us our money back, and we make a little bit of arbitrage. We make a couple of percentage points there, which allows us to cover our overhead in the accounting department. So that's total transparency. That's how it works.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We've seen a lot of international investors take advantage.
What's that, Shawn?
I was just saying that's awesome. Just providing the investor with potentially more flexibility.
Yeah, and and initially our rate was 7.9, but interest rates went up, and so it's 9.9 right now, and it'll go up and down as it has to.
Okay, that's good to know. What were you going to say, Matthew, with your international investors?
That's a popular product with our international investors. Some have maybe difficulties qualifying for a mortgage here in state, and so we're able to provide that as an option for folks there as well, which is a good thing.
Yeah, makes sense. So, Terry, you mentioned kind of a wait list earlier. How long is the current wait list that you guys have for people interested in getting a property, and how does that work? And then kind of piggyback question on that. Can an investor come in and snatch up like multiple houses at once? Like, what are your guys' rules around how you make these deals available to investors?
Sure. Well, since we started cranking up new constructions, wait times have dropped considerably because we're just adding more product. But right now, wait times are around 45 to 60 days.
Oh,
so not that long. And we try to give. We try not to bend the rules too much, but we do for 1031 folks. So if there's a fuse on a 1031, we're gonna do what we need to do to make that happen for somebody who's doing a 1031. But besides that, it's basically one house at a time, and then you hop back on and pick up another one, 2 or 3 months down the road.
Gotcha. Any difference if somebody's coming in and paying all cash?
Cash buyers can buy two, and the reason that we prioritize cash buyers is because we do not have unlimited lines of credit. And so
Makes sense.
the quicker we can move a property off our line of credit, yeah, it's cash flowing for us. It's great, but we need to move that property so we can buy another one, right?
Got it.
And so that's why we give a little bit extra love to cash buyers.
Okay, so if you're financing 45, 60 days, you're back in line looking at a second property. If you're doing cash, then you can get two at a time. Makes sense.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let's talk game plan really quickly. If somebody that's listening right now has, let's say, a decent, strong income, and say that they have anywhere between 100 and 150K in capital that they've saved up, and maybe anywhere from no rentals to 3 rentals. So not somebody that's out here with 15, 20, 30 doors. How do you guys recommend that they get started with Mid-South, and what does that realistic path look like to go from potentially that first property, I always say policy, first property in that smaller portfolio to, the next 5 to 10 years of building that with you guys?
Yeah, so each investor, of course, has some different preferences. I believe in the power of leveraging. So if they had 150,000, I'm probably going to, if they had no opinion themselves on whether they wanted to just do an all cash purchase or if they want to use leverage, I would encourage that they leverage that money and put that to work. Not just put your own money to work for you, but put the bank's money to work for you. I think you get some juice that way. And so I'd have them start out with just one of our just bread and butter rehabs here in either Memphis or Little Rock. We tend to have more rehab properties available in Memphis, by the way. We've been here longer and have more opportunities on the rehab side there. Maybe get them into something that, the price point is around maybe 150,000 is the price, but maybe just put 25% down on that first deal. And, number one, we have a wait list, as Terry mentioned. And number two, I want to just get that first deal done with them. I want them to go through the experience with our lenders, with our team here, get familiar with their property management portal, and just kind of get a feel for how our company operates and how truly passive this can be and how they can set up their finances in a way that works for them. And then after that, we'll see what the investor is thinking. A lot of investors kind of like to diversify a little bit in terms of they might have one in Memphis and one in Little Rock.
Okay.
So it might be interesting with that scenario you mentioned to buy a rehab in Memphis and then buy a new construction over in Little Rock, take advantage of those fantastic buy down rates that are available there. That might be a place that I would persuade people.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback on that, and just as far as the turnkey thing goes, that even includes mortgage brokers, insurance companies, title companies, the whole 9 yards. So we're using the same title insurance companies, mortgage brokers for our own properties as our investors are, and we don't get any referral fees from any of these outfits. We're always looking to make sure that our investors are getting the best shake they can with all these fees, because it's part of our job. And so just want folks to know that they do not have to go out looking for these services, because I think last year we did about 680 deals. And so you can multiply that times 2 because you got to buy it and you got to sell it. So, we're pushing, 1,400 deals, closings a year. And so we have all those services for folks. So just to try to make it easy.
Nice and easy, just the way we like it. So last question I got for you guys, again, back to the website. You've got this come and visit us button on there, and you're also offering, $500 off closing costs with your first property when people actually make the trip. Now, you said 95% of the people don't ever come to Memphis or Little Rock, but tell me a little bit about what that's like, them coming and checking out operations, and what that experience is, and why you guys believe so strongly in kind of offering these tours to people that are interested in coming and checking out operations.
Yeah, I don't want to come across as lonely here, but yeah, we really wish more people would come and visit because we just love making the connections, hearing the stories of our investors, hearing what their goals are and how we can feed into that. Anyone who comes on our tours, they are really bought in when they see the whole deal here. We do tours in both Memphis and Little Rock. You can see all of those dates for the coming year on our website there, and so. The Memphis tour, you'll come here, right here where we're located in Midtown Memphis, and we'll show you our 45,000 square foot warehouse here. You'll get to meet the team, and it's quite a large team that it takes to put all this together, and it's kind of fun to see the different roles here, and you can ask any questions you have about various things, whether it's about property management, whether it's about renovations. If you have accounting questions, we're here for that as well. And then, we're going to hit the road, and we're going to see a variety of things. We usually like to take people first to that total junker that Terry was talking about, to show them a home. Hey, here's one that we just bought. Like, here's the before picture. To kind of show investors, especially like, hey, we're not just doing a lipstick job, on these properties. Like, we're buying ones that need a full-blown renovation, which, by the way, I think is a beautiful thing, because we're only putting more affordable housing stock into the market here. We're renovating homes that a first-time home buyer could never touch in a million years, because there's just too much capital expenditure needed there. And so it feels good to be able to increase the affordable housing supply in that way. And then we're going to take investors to kind of like a mid rehab, or a midway through rehab, to kind of get a feel for the process. Then take them to the finished product, so they can kind of see the before and the after. We will show a new construction home as well, assuming we have that available. The toughest thing, honestly, here is that it's finding a move-in ready house that is vacant to be able to show to our investors. So that's always the trick that we've got to do, is to find one that's vacant. We usually have to tell a renter to, like, you can move in next week, because we got the tour coming this week. So we're going to show off your home. If you can just hang on for one more week and schedule the movers for next week. And then in Little Rock, we have, I think I alluded to, we have a lot more. It's more new construction heavy over there. So we're going to show you a rehab over there. And we're also going to show you several of the new construction developments that we have. A lot of very exciting things going on, I think, over in the Central Arkansas area. We're involved in several of the little suburbs outside of Little Rock, where we're seeing great growth, and so I just think it's great to see those with your own eyes, and to put your boots there and see the houses. But I mean, Terry alluded to it. It really is real. What everyone, I think the real value they get, though, it's meeting the team. I think is the fun part, because we're the ones who are going to take care of your investment for the long haul. And so whether it's us or whether it's someone else, really take stock in the team that you're trusting.
Definitely. That makes sense. And I don't know about anybody listening to this, but I was looking at the schedule. I think me and my wife will be making our way up from Pensacola on this next year's list of dates to come check out what you guys are doing out there. Because like I said, I've only heard praises about what you've been able to deliver to people that have, made the leap and done the investment with you guys. So we'll be looking forward to that. But anything else that you guys would like to leave the listeners with, or viewers if they're watching this, before we wrap this thing up? Because altogether this has been great, been extremely helpful and educational, I think, for a lot of people.
Cool. Thank you, Shawn. The only thing I'll say is, I know that it's hard to make the leap to do your first deal, but figure out the market you want to be in. Figure out what the price point, where you want to be. Use our website as your due diligence tool. and pull the trigger on one. The house burns down, you've got insurance, right? Yeah, there's a little bit of a downturn. You can always lower your rent a couple of bucks if you need to. There's no catastrophe, right? That's going to happen, but just pull the trigger. And don't let, what's the old saying, when's the best time to plant a tree? 20 years ago. What's the next best time? Right now. So, just do your due diligence, and then pull the trigger. Just do one, because once you do one, you'll get your fears past you, and then you'll be off to the races.
Yep. And I will second that by saying, especially if you have a policy, run that casualty policy, pull it back out, and be earning in two places. If not, then get yourself a policy, protect that family and protect that house, get that asset growing and cash flowing for you. So, Matthew, anything from you?
Oh yeah, I was just going to second what you just mentioned. I love what you're doing with the coaching in infinite banking. I think it's a great place to keep your reserves, by the way, because with real estate you do want to have reserves on hand.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing about us is like we don't require you to have a certain reserve with us. Generally speaking, as repairs come up, you can essentially pay with those, with future rent income. And so the beautiful thing is you can keep those reserves in your infinite banking policy, and now it's still working for you. It's earning a return while it's providing you safety and security as reserves. So I think it's a beautiful thing for your listeners who are employing that strategy.
Amen. I think these two things marry so well together, which I think is why it's becoming so popular. So hopefully you'll see a lot more people from our side of the thing doing business with you guys. I know you've already seen some, but yeah, again, appreciate it so much for you guys coming on. This was a blast, extremely educational, and I think will provide a ton of value for my listeners.
Thanks, Shawn. I'm looking forward to meeting you and your wife.
Definitely looking forward to it, guys. Have a good one, gentlemen.
All right, you too.
Take care.
What'd I say? What did I say? Was that not a great episode? I mean, jam-packed with value. Thank you so much to Matthew and Terry. Man, just so much good stuff there. You could see why I was so excited to have them on. If you want to learn more about Mid-South Homebuyers, head on over to their website, midsouthhomebuyers.com. I'll have it linked in the description below. Go on there, go on the website, check some things out, look at some of the rentals, play around a little bit. I mean, it's so well done, and it really gives you that ability to have a little fun and kind of, I don't know, dream about what might be coming down the pipeline for you in the future. But anyways, my wife and I will definitely be hitting up their facility next year to check it out, give everything a run through. Then I look forward to having those guys back on. But I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, throw it a like, thumbs up, 5 stars, whatever you're listening to this on, whether it's YouTube or whether it's on the Apple Podcast or Spotify app. Do your boy a favor, give him some love in the comments below. And yeah, as always, guys, the information is free, but the knowledge is priceless. I'll catch you next week with another episode. Who knows? Maybe I'll have a guest. But either way, I appreciate you tuning in. Peace, y'all. Hit that outro music.
Invest in your future. There's no time like today. Tune in, rise up, elevate your game. Financial freedom is possible, and it's yours to claim.